Hello lovely friends, here's a sneak peek of my first ever resin beach piece. Thank you so much to my lovely members and my subscribers. You really help keep my channel going. So today Kim and I are doing our Talent Tuesday and I can't wait as ever to see what she's doing. So I'm doing an easy resin beach scene today and I'm using my heat gun to make waves. So here's the resin that I used, and I'm using 50% resin, epoxy resin, and 50% hardener, and I'm eyeballing it. I'm not measuring it, and I probably will go back and measure later times, but it's just wanting to get a sense of the feel of it. So I've got my resin and now I'm mixing up, as the instructions say, between 3 and 5 minutes. So do that really quickly, and I do it for a bit longer, and then I put a bit of the resin in my cups, and I've got some little pigments, as you can see there, that I'm going to put into each one, and I'm putting about 6%, say 6 to 10%, depending on how opaque I want it. And it's really interesting actually, because I'm wondering how the white's going to be. So this is such an exciting experiment. So I'm mixing them all up. I've got lovely colours, and these are just some random pigments that I got for Christmas. I don't know where they're from, but look at that colour. It's a beautiful sea green to me. The colours on them are really original, like blue, green. I think one was called cyan. But yeah, I would just go and just choose the pigments that you want and just try them, because wherever you are in the world, there are so many different types of pigments. So before we go on to the pouring, I'm making sure that the pigments are nicely mixed in, and I'm just loving it. It's so exciting doing this for the first time. I want to do a beach scene where I'm mixing the blues and greens, and I'm going to do one layer and see how that turns out. I've got two colours that are quite similar, but I'm so excited to see how deep the colours are. So let's go! So I'm just laying it down on this wooden board. There are 2 holes in the top, and I'm experimenting. The next one I do, I'm actually going to fill the holes in first, and then resin over the top, because resin's like glue. It's so solid. It's really solid once it's dried and cured. So I'm just layering it in a way that feels sea-like. So I'm putting the darker at the top, so it's deeper in as the ocean gets more of a distance. I've got lighter blue at the front, and I'm experimenting with the white down below, just to see how the waves are going to turn out. And I'm going to use my heat gun to make sure the resin's warmed a little bit as it flows, and just to experiment to see how I can get some cells. Now I've got a really mad idea about how I'm going to do the second layer of waves, but I'll share that with you as the video goes on, because I'm not 100% sure about it. So I'm using my finger just to blend, and it feels so, at this stage it's so exciting just doing it. Now then, I used my heat gun and I missed out that bit of recording, so this is what I do. I was putting a little squeeze of pigment on top because it wasn't white enough, it wasn't deep enough, and then I use my heat gun just to really gently push it around. Now what I've done, have you tried this at home? And what do you think about these waves? I'm really liking the effect. There's some really wide sort of broken up cell effects, and the white is sort of sinking quite a lot. But this is it the next day once it's dried, and I love it, and I can see that it's quite see-through. So I'm going to give it another layer. What do you think? But look at that, isn't that lovely? And what I thought I'd do is move the waves up a bit, so I'm going to be going over some of the bottom waves, and you can see the 2 holes at the top. I'm going to put some sea glass on there, and you'll see how that turns out. So I'm loving the depth of colour. I'm just wanting to add a bit more, but I'm really mesmerised by the pattern, and I'm going to use this style of blowing out again on another piece. So what I'm doing now is I'm getting some rock stones and pebbles that I've got, and some grit and sand, and I've been given these by some lovely friends and had them online as well, and I'm just using my paper just to give it a nice rub over, and that makes sure that the resin can stick on it nicely. So I just want to give a shout out to all the people that have really inspired me. So my lovely friend Kim, who is doing some amazing blooms and experiments. Oh, she's an alchemist and she comes up with some amazing things. And Michelle, she's also on a bloom journey. Oh my goodness. And our Donna from It's Art by Donna. Oh my goodness, have you seen what she produces? If you go on her channel, there's a whole history of different things that she's done. And she did something recently that was just absolutely beautiful. She does everything. And she has such a lovely set of videos with so much experience. Louise McKay is another one. She does some amazing blooms and resin coasters and Lazy Susans, all sorts of things. And then more recently, Kim introduced me to Pouring Your Heart Out and Callie's Kitchen. And there are so many people. Kathy from Grandma Kathy's Art Venture, Tonya from Creations with Tonya. Oh my goodness, they've been experimenting with resin. And there's just so many people. Sued her from Resin Artist Resin. Oh my goodness. I'm going to put some links at the end of this video in my description to show off some of the amazing videos from my wonderful friends in this art community. So you can see here, this is the grit mixed with a green gold, and it's really hard to see on the camera, but there's a real sparkle in the sand. So I'm putting that on and blending it around, and then I'm going to be fixing on the stones and pebbles and just creating a little beach scene, and I'll come back shortly as I begin to do the next layer of waves.
I was honest, and I don't need help. I was honest. But I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you. I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you. And never did I think I'd be staring down my own face. I thought I would come around. I knew better. Still, it's better to feel nothing at all sometimes. But I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you. I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you. Every time I swear I was honest. Every time I swear. Every time I swear I was honest. Every time I swear I was honest. And I don't need help. I was honest. But I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you. I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you. I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you alone. I don't know how to leave you.
So I've been using my hand in my gloves to blend the resin. I'm wearing my mask so I'm not taking the fumes, and I'm placing the different objects on the beach to create a whole beach scene. I've got some sea glass, I've got some pebbles, I've got some sand, and don't forget the gold is in that sand. And now I am placing down the white pigment, and I did see it suggested somewhere that you can add a little bit of Australian floetrol. And I'm really curious to see how this turns out. This is supposed to create cells, but we'll see. So I'm using my finger just to spread it around, and I use my heat gun to go and heat the resin up and push it around. And I've got this sort of aerial view. I'm going to add a little bit more around the outside and blow it out, because I want it to look as though the sea is just coming in a little bit, and you've got that sort of foamy feel, but it's not waves as such. You can just about see a little bit of the waves from what I did before, but because I brought the beach up a bit, it's just added to the opaqueness of the whole thing, so it's got a bit more depth. I've learned so much from this piece, it's unbelievable, so I'll definitely be trying it again. So the key things I've taken away from today are: use a heat gun and don't overwork it, heat the resin and blow it and have fun with it. I've learned that the pigments really sink. You see the white bits up above, they actually disappear. This resin is a really clear, easy resin to work with. I'd actually really recommend it. We'll see how it lasts. I'm going to be playing around with this, and I've learned also not to put your fingers on, and to keep the heat gun at a medium heat. That really seemed to work for me. So what do you think of this piece? Have you enjoyed the journey? Can you see the little rocks and the stones? And this is the wet version. I'm going to show you the dried version, and just notice what's happened to some of that foamy effect. You would notice that some of those white bits at top have disappeared. I've also noticed that the sea glass I've placed in the sea for a bit of depth still shows the holes at the top, so I'm going to make sure they're filled, or I'm going to use a round board without any holes in. Oh, this is exciting. So I can't wait to see what Kim's created today. Her link's in my description and comments below as always. Thank you for being here today on this Talent Tuesday. Let me know what you think. Get a beach vibe. This is the end and dried results. See how the white has actually sunk a little bit. I don't think I'll be using that method again, but I might do in different ways. So I've loved my experimentation today. I've learned so much, and I can't wait to try some more. So I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to know what you're creating at the moment. And I've got a sneak peek here of a recent workshop. I had a lovely seahorse workshop with some really amazing people locally in Cornwall, UK, and I set it all up. We took hours setting it all up and making the paints. Really nice consistency, and so when the guys came along, they could have a load of fun, and we did have fun, and they learnt so much, and they just really did have me in awe. Every single one of them with their unique flair, with their fluid art pieces. So thank you so much for being here today. Let me know what you're working on. Don't forget that your art is a piece of you. I'm proud of every single person who was in my class, and I'm also so proud to know each one of you. Thank you for your support as ever. Look at this pattern. Oh my goodness. You couldn't make this pattern if you tried. Special thanks to Ruth at the Craft Barn for renting out her space. It's such a wonderful space, loads of wonderful light, and it really gave us the room that we needed to spread out. So thank you, Ruth. So take good care of you, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.